Wow, it's amazing to be here today. Thank you everybody for coming and watching us, but I have a very special guest, is my friend and my buddy, Megumi. Megumi, welcome.
Thank you, Carla, for having me. I appreciate it. I'm
Oh,
so
this is so exciting. Yes. Yes. So I'm gonna tell you a little bit about Megumi. And she's awesome. I'm just gonna tell you that first and foremost. But Megumi is a passionate feminine embodiment and self-love coach and mentor who empowers high-achieving women to step into their true power by embracing their femininity and inner wisdom through her transformative practices that integrates mind, body, and soul. She guides women on a journey of self-discovery, helping them shed limiting beliefs, rewire their narrative, regulate their nervous system, and cultivate deep self-love. Megumi is committed to helping women reclaim their confidence, live authentically, and magnetize the life they truly desire. And it's so amazing to hear that bio because all of it is true. I mean, I'm just in love of Megumi as a person, but also with Megumi as what she do, because what she does is really, I've done it and is so powerful. So I'm super happy to have you here so we can share with everybody that is listening.
Oh, thank you, Carla. I really appreciate you saying that. It means a lot to me. Thank you, Betty.
Awesome. So as I said before, I've been doing this in every interview has the same 4 questions, and we're gonna go from the first one to this fourth one. But I also want you to be open to expand on anything that you want to expand,
Sure.
that is not in the question, because this is a space where I want you to feel free to go where you feel you get to go. So people over there on the other side of the screen can listen to your wisdom and what you have here to share with them.
Okay,
Good.
let's go
Okay.
for it.
So are you ready for question number one?
I am.
Awesome. So the first question is, what is it that you do? What is your purpose? And how do you help people? And I know it's like 3 questions, but in reality it's one. What do you do? That's the question.
Great. Well, I think my purpose, and I believe that we're given many different purposes at different parts of our life, but my purpose in this current state of affairs
Mm-hmm.
is to support women in stepping boldly, powerfully, confidently into their most authentic expression through their femininity.
Mm.
We live in a culture where it's very much about the masculine, about the patriarchy, and that's starting to shift and unravel. We're living in a new paradigm, in a new age where women are rising up, the feminine in specific, right, as an energetic being source is rising up. And I'm really here to empower as many women as possible to reclaim their feminine. It
Mm.
was once revered to be in your feminine, to, undulate your pelvis and your hips over the crops to help fertilize it for the masses. There was a time where being in your feminine was revered because of this essence of radiance and power and energy, right? We carry life force energy as women in our bodies. Men do too, but like specifically the fact that we can give life, we can give birth. And I'm not just talking about like physical babies, but we give birth to our projects, we give birth to our passions. And so my purpose is really to continue to allow that ripple of one's power to be felt, to be noticed, to be seen, and to be reclaimed.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
So the second question is, what made you interested in what you currently do? And tell me about how you got there.
Yeah. So, I'm 33 years old and I have started my personal development journey pretty young. I started it in my 20s,
Mm.
and it all occurred due to my grandmother passing away, who was my everything in my life. She was my rock solid nurturance and care provider growing up because my mom was a narcotic and an alcoholic. when I was really young until my teenage years. And then my dad was just physically absent, emotionally not present. And so, as the oldest in a family of three, I had to step into my leadership role model era of like taking care of siblings, even though I was still basically a child. And so the one adult in my life that I could really rely upon was my grandma. And when she passed away, I felt like my entire world shifted and changed. Just like when we all have a death in our life where we realize that whether it's a caregiver or a pet or someone that we sense that sense of morality is just like present. And for me, it took me on a dark and twisty journey of realizing what I wanted to make out of the meaning of life. And I started getting curious of what that was at the age of 20. And I happened to find a pole dancing class just out of nowhere, just thought, well, might as well try it. I don't like going to the gym. I know it's important to stay fit and healthy and to take care of my body. Pole dancing sounds sexy and fun. Why not give it a try? It was unlike anything I've ever done before. And it wasn't just a pole dancing class. It was something so much more deeper than that. It was about reclaiming my femininity. It was stepping into my power and my embodiment and really getting to love the fullness of what this body brings me. This was the practice of S Factor, which has been around now for 25 years. And what I realized was I got to reclaim my sensuality, my sexuality, my erotic energy, which is our life force energy, in ways that I didn't know I had no experience on from being a little girl to a teenager to a grown adult. And what I realized is there were so many women around me that were in their late 30s or 40s or 50s or even 60s, where I was considered the baby in the group, which was unheard of in my world because I was always the oldest everywhere I went. And people just kept telling me, wow, you are so lucky that you found this practice at such an early age. I wish that my daughter did. I wish that my niece did. I wish that my granddaughter did. And it really dawned on me just how powerful it was that I had this opportunity to really get to understand my body from all the shame, all the repression of my emotions that I had when I was younger, and how I wanted to continue to cultivate it. And so that was the beginning part of my journey that led me to doing more mindset work, understanding the importance of slowing down, not just for the sake of being in class, but slowing down in every area of my life, really taking that time to harness what the internal power that I was feeling within these, walls of a red lit room and how to bring that out into my everyday life. How to embrace more of the juiciness. I started taking other teacher training. So I became an S Factor teacher trainer. I did FEM, I did tension trauma releasing exercises. I started to practice NLP and spiral. And I just really got involved in how many modalities can I be trained in for my own personal development, but also to support others in their transformation. Transformation became the key to everything in my 20s and even into my 30s now. That has allowed me to see when we can be in such a field of possibilities of what can be created when we're living in our vision, every beautiful door opens up. And so growing up, I felt hopeless. I felt despair. I felt depression. I felt numb. And as I've been on this journey, I got to feel into all of those experiences and then also reclaim them and shift them literally through the neural pathways of my body, from the cells to my cells, not just the mindset repatterning work, but really retelling the story in my body, which has allowed me to be as confident as I am today, as passionate, as fierce, as grounded and determined that I am for this mission, for this purpose, to see more women reclaim their stories. There's a statistic out there right now that 2 in 3 women will experience sexual assault of some kind in their lifetime. And if you think about how often that occurs and how often then women get trapped in that experience of feeling victimized, feeling like their power was taken away, when the opportunity is, as awful as that is to not let their power be taken away, to really stand in this is for me, and I'm going to carry myself with that legacy of ensuring that that doesn't happen ever again for me, for my legacy, for my lineage. And that's really the purpose that I've served, because I too, have had sexual assault since I was a young girl. And, really cultivating these practices for myself has really allowed me to hold my ground in a way that no one can approach me and think that
Mm,
they can take advantage of me, because I wouldn't let them.
mm.
My energy says so. And that's really the power of this work. It's like, I'm unfuckwithable. You don't want to mess with me.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being vulnerable, Cherry, all the deepness of what you do and why you do it. Thank you very much. So, ready to move to question 3.
Yeah.
What has been your biggest, most profound shift or transformation, and how it has affected your life?
I would say that in many ways, my grandma passing is what again led me into this journey. But I gotta say, I think one of the most profound shifts that I've created in my life was about a couple years ago, when I left an 8-year relationship that I was in,
Mm,
for a different partnership, for a different relationship. And it all happened like in a moment, it felt like. And it's wild because, a lot of people that have been present in my life that saw that experience, I know you were one of them, it all made sense on the other side. And I think that it looked really erratic and crazy to anybody looking in who
mm,
didn't know me. Like, how is she going from this 8-year relationship that was foundational to my growth, to my development? It was clearly the lifelong partnership I thought I was entering into. I mean, we were planning on getting engaged. We had already picked out a wedding venue. And I just said, nope, this is actually not for me. I'm going to step into this really unknown, scary place because something feels resonant over here.
mhm,
And I think one of the reasons why it was so deeply transformational for me to step out of that relationship is it took me 8 full years to recognize that I generated that relationship
mhm,
to learn a lot of lessons and to grow up. I was in my 20s. My partner at the time was in his 50s. There was a big age gap, and I was cool with it. He was good with it. I had stepkids who I deeply adored still to this day. And there was just a way in which I got to see how much I was creating my own healing from
mm,
my childhood that was also being projected onto their upbringing. And so it caused a lot of pain, I can tell.
mhm,
And it was also really good for me to have that insight and healing around a family dynamic can look this healthy in certain ways, right? With a loving father figure. And then I can bring that essence that, I didn't necessarily get from my mom growing
mm,
up. And so it played its role, it played its due part. And there were some unhealthy aspects too of that family dynamic where it was really more around physical assault from one of my stepdaughters that I just couldn't tolerate,
mm,
wouldn't tolerate anymore. And so being able to step out of that relationship allowed me to see, like, look, I'm valuable and I'm worthy of being in a relationship where I feel safe
mm,
in my body, in my physical environment, and with the people that I love. I don't tolerate physical violence of any sort. And it took 2 times, 2 incidences for me to get to a place of realizing nothing was really going to change unless I stepped away. And it was
mm,
painful. I realized, I didn't want to have to step away out of those circumstances, but I also did know that it was for the best for everybody involved. And it really occurred to be that case. And I think the other thing that I also realized, that even though that was one piece of the puzzle of why I needed to step away, the other piece was really recognizing that how much I value personal growth and development and going deep and needing that out of a partnership,
mm,
and realizing that I kind of was met in as much of the personal development and growth that I was going to get out of that partnership.
mm,
And that there was nothing wrong with that. It was just a choice of, he wants to be where he's at, and I am requesting and needing something deeper. And so it was this moment of realizing I grew up. I grew up and I didn't need that particular like family, nuclear family kind of home in order to feel safe or secure, or to even feel like this was it. It was something that I kept wanting because I was growing into it. And yeah, there could have been a moment where I could have claimed a different level of sovereignty in it. And I realized there's just something bigger on the other side that I know it feels scary. I know it feels unknown. And I'm not sure how I'm going to get there. But there's something about this other human being in my life that is pulling something deeper out of me, that I am like feeling a calling and like almost a yearning to step into.
Mhm.
And so has it been like a wild journey over the last couple years? Absolutely. And it has been one of the most transformational things that I've experienced even in my adult life, even through the various, changes I've had through my personal development journey. And it's really allowed me to have a deeper level of compassion for others as I give it to myself. It's
Mm.
allowed me to be a fiercer stand for other people in the way that I stood for myself, and that deep inner knowing that I knew this is the path I'm meant to be on. Right. And yeah, even when it gets shaky, even when it feels ungrounded, it's having that unwavering, resolute stand for myself that I do for other people. And it's only built in that level of strength since making that transformational shift from living one type of life
Mhm.
to another. And like I'm telling you, they are night and day. I was living in like the grand multi-million-dollar mansion, like dream come true Princess Cinderella story, to actually going back and saying, I'm okay with letting go of the dream and the pumpkin, going past midnight, and actually seeing what is the depth that I can create from this like burnt rubble and ashes.
Mm.
And that's been my journey, is just rising up out of it.
Beautiful. Wow. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you for asking.
Yeah.
It's pretty deep story for me. Yeah.
Right. Um, well, I always say they are simple questions, but they're profound. So number 4, what is your golden nugget to help that helps you to move on or shift or transform in a daily basis? How you
Mm,
do it and what does it require from you?
mm. I think that my golden nugget is really to just slow down.
Mm,
That saying of stop and smell the roses is how I embrace my life as much as possible. And the key awareness to it is to become not only present to what's happening, but to become deeply aware of those bodily sensations that you're having.
mm,
So, again, in my work, we're slowing down so that you can actually hear and understand and deeply listen to what is your body telling you. So, our bodies, they're these beautiful primal wild beings. They
mhm,
have this inner truth within them that are asking, begging to be heard. But we live so much up here, more from a critical place of like, what's this, what's that, or logical, analytical, and we miss out on the beauty of life. We
mhm,
miss out on the senses and the sensations and the experiences that actually allow us to drop into our human experience. And
mhm,
so it's not just living for the certain moments that we get when we feel like we have time. Time is created, it's
mhm,
bendable, it's everlasting. And so when we actually intentionally slow down so much so that we're present in the moment, we're giving ourselves that gift
mm,
of what presence is, of what time can give us, what our senses can give us, what this human experience is all about.
mhm,
And even in that, then we can all again start to understand, well, is there's like a little bubbling up feeling in my chest? Is it like excitement? Is it fear? Do I feel like tears need to come down my face? And so then it becomes like a deeper awareness of, you know, what is it that needs to be fully expressed?
mm,
And when it can become fully expressed, then there's a way in which we can embrace it and create healing. And
mhm,
that's how we're building the new neural pathways. That's how we're actually cultivating a new way of being in our life that serves this purpose moment to moment, days later, weeks later, months later, years later. And it's just in these small shifts. You know, there's so many people out there that just say, start making small habitual
Mm,
shifts in your life and notice where you are a certain time period later. And when you can slow down, you're going to remember more of those moments
mm,
that lit you up, that created a sense of depth and purpose and meaning, even in a day that felt mundane, that felt awry, that felt kind of icky. You'll still be able to find the moments where you felt the grace of a smile on your face, where you noticed someone kind of walking with their head down and you got curious and you put your hand on their back.
mm.
It's in these moments that bring about our humanity. And it's so important in these times where a lot of us feel isolated, even post pandemic, where we feel alone, where we feel disconnected, where we feel unheard or unseen. The more that we can embrace that for ourselves, the more that we can embrace that in cultivating it and giving it to others.
Beautiful. Thank you. What I hear is, yes, stop and listen. Slow down and listen.
Mhm.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. So, Megumi, where can people find you?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can check me out on my website, www.megumi-fujita.com. You can also find me on Instagram, which is the @ Megumi Fujita __. You can also find me on Facebook, and I have a YouTube account where you can also find me there.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I'm just going to leave the space open. I don't know if you want to share anything with the viewers about you that are not in my question, but you want to share with them. This is
Sure.
your space. Yes.
Yeah. So if you ever felt like there was something within you that was blocked, whether it's understanding your emotional capacity, whether you recognize you keep getting into the same pattern around something, you keep getting reactive to how your mother is being, in something that she says to you, or you recognize this pattern of like a time of the year that creates like a sort of like anxiousness within your being, even if it's like a moment in the day. My invitation to you is to just reach out and tell me what is it that's going on for you. And then let's have a discussion about it, because it's never about the thing that you think it is. There's always something deeper. And one of the things that I love to offer on people that, book calls with me is some emotional clearing, which is about getting to the depth of your unconscious of what is the unconscious emotion that has been stuck and in the way of you stepping into having that full on energetic release. So motion is just energy that wants to be moved through the body. And when we can again give it light and meaning and expression, like, oh, I see you, it will then move and dissipate. And simple as that.
I've done that. Thank you. It works, guys. It works. She's phenomenal. Thank you, Megumi. Will you give me the link so I can put it in the bio so they can have it? Yeah, beautiful. Thank you, Megumi. Thank you for being with us and sharing that golden nugget and everything about your story with me and the viewers. I really appreciate it.
I
To
appreciate you.
everybody, see you tomorrow and with another interviewer. And, you know, just hang in there. It's going to be 21 of this, and we have a way to go. Bye bye.